G'day guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about solar. So we're going to be mounting this semi-flexible panel to the roof of the Landcruiser, and we're going to be going through what solar panels I use when we go out camping and caravanning. So hang around to find out more. Okay guys, so here we have a 120 watt semi-flexible solar panel. This is just one of the cheapest ones I could find on eBay at the time. I'm not looking for a huge power input, I just need something to trickle charge our batteries. Now the reason I chose this one over something like a rigid panel with an aluminium frame is just because of the thickness of this panel. I need it to be nice and streamlined, both for wind resistance on the roof rack, and also the garage that I keep my vehicle in is very close to the roof rack as it is. So an aluminium one just simply wouldn't fit, and this will do the job perfectly. Now another thing about these panels as well, one of the negatives compared to an aluminium framed one is that if you know much about solar panels don't like heat. So the hotter the solar panel, the less effective and the less power they're going to bring in. Now given the fact that these are so thin, they're going to be very easily affected by heat. Now if any of you guys run a Rhino Pioneer platform roof rack like I do on my Landcruiser, you know that they get extremely hot when they're left in the sun, and I live in a goldfield of WA, so we're looking at mid-40s in the summer, and roof rack gets so hot that you can't actually touch it. So that's obviously going to affect the panel and the way it works. So what I've done is I've come up with an option on the back of the panel here, and I've mounted some material called core flute to where those slats of the roof rack will be touching and coming into contact with the back of the panel. Now core flute is a sort of a plastic material. It's flexible. It's often what signs are made of, like your real estate signs and things like that. But it is just a couple of mil thick, and it has a whole lot of channels that run across it, which will allow some airflow between the roof rack and the panel, and that will just help keep it a little bit cooler. It's still going to be running a little bit hotter than say an aluminium frame one, which obviously has a lot more airflow flowing around it, but it's definitely going to help, and we'll see how it goes. So what I've done here is I've just used some plastic clips that are stuck to the solar panel there, which will hold the wiring on top of the panel before it goes up underneath, and the rest of the wiring will be run through the inside of the channels with some existing wiring in the roof rack, and then plugged into the Anderson plug. So let's get up there and we'll start getting this thing mounted. So the solar panel is all mounted down now. So while we're up here, I thought I'd go over exactly how I've mounted it down. So what I've done is I've bought these little Eyelet Kits, which suit the Pioneer roof rack platform system. It's just a bolt that goes into a small alloy block, and these blocks fit in these channels here. So what I've done, like I said previously, my garage door is quite low, it only just clears the roof rack as it is. So I've replaced the Eyelet Kits with just a regular hex bolt. And I've used that through a spring washer and a cut flat washer down through the solar panel, and then it's got 3 washers between the solar panel and the roof rack, and that just takes out some of the compression of the core flute once you tighten these bolts down, and allows that gap like we were talking about earlier with the core flute there. So I'll put a link in the description below in regards to where I bought the panel from, and also this mounting hardware as well. So along with the fact that these are really streamlined panels, another reason I bought these is that I can still pack some stuff on top of them when using the roof rack. So when I'm not towing the van, I use Oz 10 RV systems. So they're quite long tents when they're packed up. They do take up the entire length of the roof rack. So when I have this panel on, I can still put those tents over this panel. Yes, of course, it's not going to work in the sun, but I can leave the panel on. I don't have to take it off every time I want to use the roof rack. The reason I mount it up the front here is again just because of other things I've got mounted on the roof rack from time to time. I usually have a big space case mounted here on the back corner and max tracks down the other side. Now another reason I chose this particular size of panel is again just to fit the roof rack I've got here. It fits really well on these slats that the Rhino platform have, and also allows the last slat on the passenger side to be free, and that's where the awning mounts up to. Another benefit of having these Eyelet kits as well is that if I do want to mount something down to these, it's just a simple case of removing these hex bolts, replacing it with the little eyelets, and I can still use these as tie down points. It won't fit in the garage, but I can use it from time to time. So I know there's going to be questions about the wiring, so I'll quickly go over where I've wired this. So you can see the panel up there, and there's the control box there. The wiring comes down, comes through the length of the roof rack, and plugs into an Anderson plug that I had installed when I had some electrical work done on the car just up there. The wiring then goes down the split of the factory tailgate. There's a little bit of excess there kept up, and then it comes across into the factory grommet holes that go into the tailgate there, and then the wiring is all run through the panels, down the side of the car, down to the front of the car where the BCDC is kept. Before we go to test the panels and to show you what results we're getting from this panel up here, just quickly talk about rooftop panels as well. So a couple of the four-wheel drive shops I asked some advice from were hesitant to put rooftop solar panels on, and they had concerns that they're not that effective, they don't work that well, and they're very limited in their functions. So I got the Anderson plug wired up on the roof anyway when I had some electrical work done to the car, and now I've put the panel on and we're going to see how it works. But overall, I still think they're good. So if you have the space up there and it's not being used for anything else, there's really no negative to have them up there. Granted, they have limited functionality. You can't move them to face the sun, and obviously when you're out four-wheel driving and bush camping, you're probably going to find somewhere in the shade to park, but that is not always going to be the case. This Cruiser is still our daily driver, and there is a negative draw on the battery when it's sitting around, and we don't drive that far on a day-to-day basis. So overall, if I don't charge this car up or do a long drive, it will drain the battery. Having this panel on, and where it's parked normally on a weekday, it is going to keep those batteries topped up. And the fact that it's so streamlined as well, it's not going to really affect the functionality of packing things on the roof rack, and it's not going to add a lot of fuel consumption as well, being so streamlined. So yes, look, there's pros and cons, but in my opinion, there's not really much of a negative for this panel. It really is going to help trickle charge the battery, and when we are parked in the sun with a fridge on a hot day, it is just going to help give us a longer time we can stay at a spot without moving the car. So I think the last thing to do now is to try it out. So it's a nice sunny day here in Kalgoorlie, although it is quite hot. So it's about 35 degrees today. So we'll see what difference that makes to the efficiency of the panel. So the way I'll be monitoring it today will be through the Victron battery monitor. So this will detect the input coming in and will show us what is coming in. So I've got the gauge here on the rear drawers, but it's probably easier to read it off the phone. So I've had the fridge going just for the last couple of hours to draw down that battery, so it will need some charge. And we're currently sitting at 86%. So there's not much on in the car at the moment, and we do have a draw of about 0.2 amps. Obviously it's just the idle and a few things running in the background there. So I'll push it out into the sun and see what we're bringing in. So there we have it. We can see there we're currently bringing in 5.9 amps, and that's slowly increasing, so just hit to 6 now. The other thing you can see here is both these battery voltages are going to be going up. So like I said before, this solar panel is connected through the Red Arc BCDC charger, which means it's going to charge your starter battery first, get that to an adequate level, and then it will start charging your secondary battery. This percentage here does refer to the secondary battery, and a little bit of detail here in regards to what we're running. Okay, so through this app here, we can also see and track the voltage and the current. So obviously the voltage will increase slowly over time, but we can see here over the last couple of minutes, the amps have hit straight up to 6 amps there. For some reason there is a little spike there, but it's gone straight back up, and we're running about just below 6 amps at 5.9. So, so far so good. Okay guys, so in addition to the roof mounted solar I've just mounted up now, I do also run a set of portable panels as well. So just run this little set here by Projector. It's a small 80 watt panel, and there's 4 small panels here, 20 watt each, linked together that just plug into the car when we're parked up. So the only thing I've done here is I have removed the solar controller. Again, I've got another Anderson plug wired in the engine bay that goes straight through the BCDC and regulates all the solar input for me, so there's no need to have that. So I've taken out that solar controller, added in an extension cord, and also put in another red Anderson plug. So let's get these laid out, plug it in, and see what total input we can have through the solar. So I haven't plugged in those 80 watt portable panels just yet, but we can see the solar panel's been out in the sun now for about 5 minutes, and it still is about mid 30 degrees. So you can see here it's still bringing in 5.9 amp, which I'm pretty happy with. So let's plug in those portable panels and see how we go. And there we go. We can see there that it's jumped right up to 11 amp and 138 watts coming in. So that is pretty impressive. And overall, I mean, that's going to power everything I need throughout the day. So keeping in mind with this test as well, we are in ideal conditions here. We haven't got any clouds in the sky. We've got full sunlight and the sun is directly above us. So with the portable panels, they do come with a couple of stands, and you can move them around and angle them to face towards the sun. However, obviously the solar panel on the roof is not going to be able to do that. So having the sun directly above us is the optimal time to be testing out these panels, but keeping in mind when the sun is low in the sky, you're not going to get these sort of results. So there you have it. That is the solar setup that I'm running on my Landcruiser 200 series. I hope you enjoyed the video. Just remember, if you do like it, follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well at Exploring Oz. So I will put a link in the description below as well in relation to where I got this solar panel from and some of the mounting hardware and any other products I bought online. So check out the description if you're interested in buying that for yourself. So guys, if you like this video, we do a few of these videos on the channel. We do a few on the Landcruiser 200 series and also the van that we tow, which is a Jayco Journey, along with some trip videos as well. So if you like this type of stuff, make sure to like and subscribe, and you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram as well to see what we're up to. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers guys.